How's Black Caviar?
She's great. She's great. Very pleased with her. She worked wide on the course proper here on Tuesday morning and pleased us. Followed up with a day at the beach on Wednesday, a little bit of pacework this morning, and everything's spot on.
Has the preparation been faultless?
Has been, for the first time ever, more pleasingly. As I've endlessly said, last preparation was the first time she'd gone to the paddock sound, and she's returned in good shape, and I'm very pleased to say the vets have spent very little, if any, time with her at all.
Had a chance to ponder that first up win in the Lightning. You're shaking your head still a little bit in amazement?
Yeah, listen, I've got great respect for the opposition, and Glenn Schofield went as far as ringing me, I think, 3 or 4 days after the Lightning, and all he could say down the phone was, wow. He said, I wanted to see you after the race. He said, I'd never seen or felt such a demolition in a race riding Haylist. And that was quite staggering, and he went on to say that he'd sort of chased Silent Witness around in Hong Kong for a couple of years and, still couldn't, conceive that a horse could do that to Haylist. So, that's quite staggering. And adrift, you've got a Golden Slipper winner and numerous other good horses. So for her to do that, I was happy to walk away with a half-inch victory, but the way she did it was, quite amazing.
You said before you don't really get nervous. What about countdown to this week?
Well, I'm not nervous for the horse's sake. She's going super. It's probably public expectation now. She's building this, record, and it'd be a shame to see her get beat. You get a bit protective, but at the end of the day, they are race horses, and there's a terrific race on Saturday. The biggest sprint handicap in Australasia, and you'd probably find the biggest sprint handicap in the world, because the other big handicaps around the world are set weights. So she's 4 for 4 down the straight. She's in great shape. You would think this will probably be her only start at handicap conditions in her lifetime. And it's probably the only chance the opposition are going to get to meet her under those circumstances.
58 kilos?
It's a big impost, but her record says she deserves it. Her rating says she deserves it. I've got no fears with her carrying the 58. My fear has always been what the horses are weighted away from her. But one would hope that it doesn't bring them that close together.
Which are the ones away from her then that you would be most fearful of?
Well, obviously great respect for Haylist, 3.5 kilo turnaround. Star Witness, he's proved himself to be a super 3-year-old sprinter and very adept to the straight. He's in receipt of 5 kilos, and the stablemate Hinchinbrook, he pleased us no end in the Oakley Plate, and he's in receipt of 8 kilos. And when you see Star Witness and Hinchinbrook and Haylist walk out beside her, she looks a big, powerful machine, but they're every bit as big as powerful. But 1,200 metres up the straight, she's in her own domain. We're very happy to be there on Saturday.
People are talking about her as the greatest sprinter of all time. What do you think?
Well, I haven't been around that long, thankfully. But, I just take great heart from, you listen to people like Lee Friedman and David Hayes, even Pat Hyland pulled me up in the toilets at Sandown yesterday, and he was the rider of Vane, and he didn't say she was better than Vane, but he said, wow, outstanding, And I suppose if she continues on this path, she's got to be considered one of the best ever.
Each win adds more pressure for you?
No, funny thing, another thing I learnt yesterday, the trainer of Secretariat was asked the same question. He said it'd be more pressure if I didn't have her in the stables.
That's right. You mentioned Hinchinbrook, the stablemate. He only got 50 kilos. He was outstanding and luckless first up in the Oakley Plate.
He was. I think he's a high-class colt. But how the form lines join, I'm not quite sure. The last two occasions, I think Black Caviar's met Eagle Falls. She's beaten him 9 and 13 lengths. And Eagle Falls was able to win the Oakley Plate. So how that form equates, there's no doubt Eagle Falls has improved, but whether it's enough to make up that gap, I don't know. But he's a very valuable colt, and we're probably approaching it a bit like him racing Star Witness for the sprinting 3-year-old title as such behind her. But he's there to win, and he's in great shape.
You've got 2 Group 1s on Saturday, and you've got a runner in the Australian Cup as well, Mr. Charlie, an unorthodox preparation for him. Can you bring home a Group 1 double?
I'd be happy to. He won very well first up in the spring. He's in very good shape. Like you say, unorthodox first up into Australia Cup, but he was super first up in the spring, hence the reason we've gone first up into the Cup this time round.
You guys, any other?
Pete, talking about Black Caviar, trainers talk about the champions that they have. Is she a once-in-a-lifetime horse for you?
I think so. I'd like to think I could find another one at some stage, but I don't know if I'll ever find that one that good. Like I've said during this mare's career, you know, my comparison was working with General Nadim as a young horse, and he could do unbelievable things in races and on the training track, and he was my benchmark until she came along. So, you know, she's super to me. I don't know if I'll ever have my hands on the equal again, but I'd be happy to take another one.
It's scary to think, but has she improved from her first up win?
I think she has, condition-wise. And once again, I take heart from both Ben Mallam and Luke Nolan, who have ridden her at the last 2 wins, and they felt they haven't seen the bottom of her yet. It's hard to imagine that she could go any faster, so I'm not sort of quite sure where they're coming from. But, you know, crikey, you're scary if she can.
You talk about she's not treated any differently in the stable. She's just one like every other horse. Is she getting used to this media attention though? She was looking at the cameras before. Does she know she's better?
Well, she is getting that little bit of air of arrogance, I suppose, about her when she walks out. It's the clicks of the camera, the flashes don't seem to worry her these days, so I suppose it's something she's going to have to get used to, and thankfully it's not upsetting her, otherwise none of you would be here.
Happy with the barrier? It looks a good barrier. You know, she can get a good look at those on her inside and all that.
Well, she just bounces and puts herself into the race, so you know, I think the others have got to work out where they're going to be around her. She'll come straight up the hey diddle diddle, one would imagine, as she has done at her previous wins there, and you know, it's a matter if they try and go, do they go with her, do they pressure her? And the pleasing thing is, when that has happened in the past, I think it was True Persuasion, or one of those horses of Mick Price's led her at Moonee Valley one day. She went to sleep outside him, so it's not going to worry her.
Bruce McAvaney's compared her to Usain Bolt and the way he breaks their hearts in the middle sections of races and so on. She's got that. She does that in the middle, doesn't she? She sort of that's where she wins her races almost, in those middle sections.
Yeah, well, both in the Patnack and the Lightning, like in the Patnack, you know, at the 500, it was sort of hold your breath a bit. Star Witness came out of the pack, and then within 2 strides she demoralised him, and then in the Lightning the other day, Haylist looked like he was going to run to a girth, and she ran away from him. So, you know, what do? Do they sit off and wait and challenge her late, or do they have to put themselves into the races? So I'm in a great situation where I don't have to worry about it. I think that the opposition's the ones who've got to worry about it, thank God.
And not worry about a bit of water, Pete?
I think this is, you know, it's probably good today. Save them watering. You know, I would have genuine concern, and I would take it up with the owners if we had considerable rain on race eve or the morning of. But I'm quite confident she would handle the conditions, but I wouldn't like to see her served up on a wet track with 58. That would be the only risk of her not appearing on Saturday if we had a genuinely rain-affected track.
So barring bad luck, you expect her to just win?
I'd be disappointed, like everyone else probably, if she doesn't the way she's going, but like this is, you would think this is the opposition's one chance to beat her, because, you know, under the handicap conditions, every other race they've either got to give her or carry the same weight. You know, they're getting, you know, like we said, from 3 to 5 to 8 kilos off her. You know, it certainly concerns me, because I think it's the most vulnerable she's ever gone to the races, but only because of that fact, not because of any other reason.